Welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here, and today we're back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay. Today we've actually got ourselves a Terran versus Protoss on Dusk Towers between MythiC, which is on Team TSI. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for. MythiC, more of an unknown player, and he is spawning in the bottom right. And up in the top left, we have Lilbow. Lilbow is on Team Millennium, if I know right now, and is one of the more well-known foreigners in recent times, I guess would be the way to say it. So we have a TVP on Dusk Towers, which is one of the larger maps, and it's actually been around for quite a while at this point. But I don't think anyone exactly minds it. It's quite a good map. Most pros don't mind playing on it, and it's quite balanced when it comes to Terran versus Protoss. So, since it is one of the larger maps, we could have it go into a more macro-oriented game. Or Lilbow or MythiC could always go for some sort of cheese. But we shall see. So Lilbow just throwing up his gas, only going to be mining with one probe at the start. So this probably means it's going to be an adept expansion. That's what I assume it will be. And MythiC has gone for seemingly like it's just going to be a Reaper expand. Also, just a side note, this is allegedly Lilbow. The replay was from SC or Spawning Tools. So, and it was posted by MythiC, who claims this was Lilbow, so it likely is. Anyway, so we've got MythiC coming in for a scout here. Just seeing what's up, sees Lilbow's gone for an expansion, Lilbow doing the same, going for a scout with that probe. And Mythic's Reaper will be popping out soon, so Lilbow is sending that probe all the way home. So really it is just becoming quite a standard game. Lilbow has thrown down another gas, so he's now mining off 2 gas. Actually got supply block just for a second there, but I think that was just part of the build. He's getting that warp gate research right off the bat, getting out a mothership core to be defensive. So Lilbow's actually opting not to make an adept early on, and he's going for a stalker. And now if we see over here, we actually have MythiC, who's building an engineering bay at the natural of Lilbow as it's building. Lilbow not scouting this, so the engineering bay is probably going to almost finish. Lilbow will stop or MythiC will stop building this right at the last second, so he can cancel it right before it dies. But oh, he doesn't actually cancel it. So that is a finished engineering bay. Maybe that was intentional, maybe not. That could have been a mistake from him. Because usually Terran players will let this finish to 99% completion, and then they'll let it go. MythiC actually scouting out quite a lot just to make sure that there's no proxy or cheese coming out of Lilbow. But he knows Lilbow has a mothership core and a stalker because of this engineering bay, which is actually disrupting a bit of mining. Now we see fairly standard play coming out of MythiC. He's actually somewhat confident that an Oracle isn't coming because he is not throwing up any missile turrets or making exactly a lot of anti-air defense. And so he's just doing the standard Terran tech. Here comes some missile turrets right before this engineering bay goes down. Almost gonna die, but it has disrupted mining for Lilbow for quite a bit. And Mythic's getting up 2 missile turrets to be safe from Oracles. Got an SCV who's trapped outside. He needs to lower the depot so he can get in. But it actually just seems that Lilbow's gonna be going into a 3rd base since he's just thrown down his Robo and his Twilight. It could be some blink pressure, but going for a Robo with just a few gates. It's not like he's going for a big attack. So, and he's getting observers, not warp prisms. So this is likely going to be a defensive blink play coming out of Lilbow. Whereas MythiC has not yet thrown up his 3rd base, just macroing up, getting out lots of units, getting that stim finished, starport so he can start dropping soon. Really standard Terran stuff. Okay, so let's see what we have going on. Lilbow keeping one of his observers at home in case of mine drops, but another one heading down here to see what's going on. He's coming into Mythic's base and seeing really anything that he can see. He's gonna see, okay, you're just teching up as a normal Terran. He'll actually see he will see there is no 3rd command center, which is good. Well, which is, it's good that Lilbow hasn't seen one, so he's probably going to focus more on the defensive. But speaking of more on defensive, he's actually going to be going for something offensive, because he's getting a Warp Prism. Likely going to be doing some drops, because Warp Prisms are so good as harassment tools. They are so quick, they can pick units up from afar, and if a Terran isn't prepared for Warp Prism harass, they will just straight up lose the game. So it's definitely worth for a Protoss to invest into this, and it's going to be up to MythiC to defend this attack, but he is getting his stims going to be finished. He'll likely be starting Combat Shield, and he's thrown up his 3rd command center. So this really is going into quite a macro game. Both these players have hardly lost any units at all. MythiC lost slightly more because of that Engineering Bay and the Reaper, which I believe he lost at some point. But MythiC actually coming in for a mine drop, which Lilbow didn't notice or pull away. Lilbow just lost 7 probes to a mine drop. That is not good by the 6-minute mark in the game. That is actually going to give MythiC quite a good lead, considering he's thrown up his 3rd base, and he's coming out with 2 more Medivacs full of Marines. He's going to be looking to drop in pressure. He's going to have stim finish, so it's going to be up to Lilbow to defend. But Lilbow only just has Stalkers, so the positioning of its Mothership Core is going to be important to Fote, and it's actually just cleaned up those Widow Mines before they could fire off more shots. Lilbow's going to need to turn these gateways into warp gates, and MythiC's actually just unloading all his units outside, but Lilbow spots it. He knows this is coming. He's pulling the Stalkers back. He's moving the Mothership Core over to overcharge a pylon, but MythiC just has so many Marines, and Stim Marines with Medivac support are good versus Stalkers. MythiC picking off the Mothership Core, Lilbow only throwing out a Time Warp, because that's all he can really do in this situation. So that was an amazing trade for MythiC. He killed off the Mothership Core, he forced a bunch of Warpins for Stalkers, and now he's getting out both of his upgrades at the same time. So MythiC is really gonna be getting up the Terran tech here. He's actually got out a Siege Tank for defense, since Lilbow hasn't actually done anything with this Warp Prism yet. But we see here the Liberator passing the Warp Prism, but MythiC is not reacting. The Liberator is going on its way. So this Warp Prism is going to come in and try to get some damage done, but there is a missile turret and a siege tank, so it's going to be really restricted. It's going to try and pick off a few probes, and then is forced out by the Marines. Now this Liberator's still just sitting here for MythiC, not actually doing anything. Lilbow's got a bunch of Blink Stalkers here ready to intercept the Liberator if it comes back, but he seemingly missed it. So MythiC is... both these players are not exactly... I mean, of course they're playing very well, but few little mistakes here and there. This Liberator's going to chase off this Warp Prism now. If we look at the movement speed for a Liberator, 4.72, and the movement speed for a Warp Prism is less, so he's going to lose that Warp Prism 100%. So this is quite a good spot for MythiC, since he's getting up his 3rd base. He's actually not mining off it yet, but it's quite a good position. He's got some early damage done, put pressure on Lilbow, made him feel a bit uncomfortable, made him squirm, and Lilbow just floating so much money. This is tons of money. He really needs to start warping in lots of units or macroing up more, maybe throw down a 4th base to dump some of this money in, but it seems that Lilbow's actually going in for quite a strange attack here. Just walking across the map with only 2 Immortals, a handful of Adepts. He does not have a Warp Prism out, actually just getting out another, so he will be able to. So it looks like he's going to want to go for a +2 attack, but +2 is quite a ways off. And MythIC's got quite a good defensive position here. His 1-1's finished, so they'll be somewhat equal upgrade-wise. MythIC's actually going to want to be starting his new upgrade soon. And it seems that MythIC's actually having very good macro here, whereas Lilbow simply is not performing very well. He's poking in with a few Stalkers to try and get any damage done. I'm actually starting to doubt whether this is Lilbow. Maybe it's Lilbow on a very off day. But now we see here MythiC pushing in, sending in this Adept Shade to see what's going on, but this would be suicide if he lets these Adept Shade finish, and it actually seems like he is going to. So much damage going to be coming out from the Siege Tank and all these units, but that is a lot of Blink Stalkers. Then again, he really needs the Adepts to soak the Marauder shots, because these Marauders will tear through the Stalkers. The Stalkers blinking on, picking off so many Marauders. These 2 Immortals are going to destroy these Marauders, assuming the Stalkers can pick off these 2 Liberators, but 2 Mines are finishing up. They're going to detonate on 1 Immortal, not even killing it though, but it seems that Lilbow has lost his Observer, so he has nothing, and another Mine going to be coming off recharge in a second here. So it seems that MythiC has been forced to lift his base, lost a few workers, but he has seemingly held this. Particularly, Lilbow is not warping in more units. He's actually getting a Stargate out to deal with Liberators, seemingly, so he might be teching to Tempest. Lilbow realized, okay, this attack didn't kill him. So the question is, what can I do? He seems like he's going to try and buy some time, but he's just sitting on top of a Widow Mine right here, and depending on where this... Oh no, oh no, another Widow Mine. So 1, 2 Widow Mines. Ooh, so much damage being done there. These Adepts are all so weak. Some of these Stalkers have to paint off them. And yes, they do have the +2 attack upgrades, but this army simply is not enough. Lilbow is behind an army supply, and he really needs to pull back, or else he's just going to be steamrolled here, and will likely lose irreplaceable units at this point in the game. So Lilbow is actually getting out of Void Ray to deal with a Liberator that's been harassing. MythiC doesn't actually display whether he has Liberator range here, but he is getting some harassment done nonetheless. I'm fairly sure this pylon might be able to reach this Liberator depending on the positioning. So this is getting into quite a game here since MythiC held that defense, and now MythiC actually is just churning out Liberators, and he's got so many Widow Mines. How many Widow Mines is that? He's got 7, which is absolutely insane. Widow Mines sort of fell back in this matchup a little bit to the Liberator as something very useful, but they are still an amazingly useful tool. Now we actually see that Lilbow has spotted that MythiC is still sitting back at home. He's knows the position he's in. MythiC is still on 3 bases, so really it's up to Lilbow to try and tech out now, and he's doing exactly that. He's getting out a bunch of Stargates. Well, not a bunch, 2. He's getting out a fleet beacon just to slowly begin producing Tempest at the rate he can afford. Getting out Storm, which is so important for Protoss late game. 1 bad move and Terran is dead. Now if we actually notice here, MythiC has been producing so many Liberators, as Terrans have been doing lately, but he does not have many Medivacs. He has 1 Medivac that is going out on drop. He's actually got 3. Okay, he's got another 2 going out on a drop, and not a single Medivac back at home, really. But this is actually going to be some really fancy drop work coming out of MythiC. He's got 2 Medivacs and 2 Liberators, which are going to siege up to secure the position, then drop in and try to pick off as much tech as they can. Now, we actually see here the main base of Lilbow has only 1 pylon powering this Stargate fleet beacon gateway, so he could take a fair bit of infrastructure damage depending on this drop, but MythiC is being reluctant. Okay, now here he goes. It's mainly because Lilbow has been sitting back doing such good work with this Warp Prism. These Adepts are going to try and get as much harassment damage done. They actually don't have Resonating Glaives, never mind, so they aren't going to dish out quite as much damage as they could do. He's liberated, cleaning up the Warp Prism, so they know that's the end of the harass. Now it's time for MythiC to do some harass of his own, but he's not paying attention to this drop. An overcharged pylon is going to be dealing damage to these Medivacs. One of them is not quite gone down. So many mines have actually been dropped here. But a Tempest comes out of the Stargate underneath 3 Widow Mines. 3 Widow Mines to that Tempest base. MythiC really needs to clean this up. He needs to almost feed back these 2 Medivacs that are so high on energy they die instantly. And he needs to storm these Widow Mines. The Mothership Core going to float forward, is going to take a mine shot and then go down. These Liberators are doing such a good job securing this position. Lilbow needs to warp in Stalkers, anything. He's got so much money in his floating bank. His macro is not doing well at all because he's being attacked at his natural while this is going on. MythiC is now setting up his 4th base, and so much bio is coming across the map. Lilbow is not going to be prepared to defend this, and he's going to need to get some Miracle Storms to deal with this. These Tempests, yes, sure, they will do great damage dealing with this, but these High Templar are not on the front, at the front. He's warping in only Stalkers, which, yes, they're +3 Stalkers, but +3 Stalkers to bio, 2/2 bio, that is, will not stand up. The Tempest are meant to be played in a more slow-paced game, whereas Lilbow is seemingly just going to get steamrolled here, and he's going to be forced to fight and take some losses regardless. These Liberators are going to come down and siege so much. Lilbow needs to storm them and start picking off them with the Tempest, but the Tempest are so slow at taking this down. The 4th base seemingly going to be targeted down by MythiC, and that is a huge huge blow to Lilbow's economy. Sure, he's getting out the superior composition with the Tempest, but actually one of the Tempests is going down just to straight up Marines. These Tempests are not being microed well enough. And it's this... I don't see how Lilbow can come back. He needs to take a miracle engagement, but the Liberators are just sieging on everything, doing so much damage here. Okay, but these Marauders are actually getting so weak compared to the Storm. Blink Micro is being done very well by Lilbow. So these Stalkers are actually going to drive everything back, but Lilbow is still in a bad situation. He's behind on bases. He's on even supply right now, but that's going to change because if we look at the income, it's definitely in the lead for MythiC. He's now going to begin dropping mules on this base. He's going to begin transferring workers, and he's really just going to get up a better economy overall. Whereas Lilbow's just slowly producing Tempest. This one, and he's actually lost a few units. He's definitely lost more supply than the Terran, which is not uncommon, but usually not what a Protoss player wants when he's going for the late game. The Terran usually just throws things at you, throws something at the wall and hopes it sticks. But now Lilbow's actually feeling that he needs to go for a counterattack and do some damage, which is somewhat true, but he's getting up a 4th base, which is important. He's got quite a few high energy Templar. Where did they go? Oh, these Templar are so far back. So with only apparently, okay, he's got 4 Templar, but they are just sitting back. So he can't really attack into this. These Stalkers will be utterly destroyed by this bio. Okay, he's got high Templar, which will do great damage. Assuming they get off a good storm, but I don't think Lilbow can push into this. He does not have the economy. He's down to 38 workers, and yes, MythiC is down to a few workers because he's not necessarily been macroing amazingly, but MythiC is on 3-3. He's got the 4th base. Lilbow is trying to make anything happen, but I don't know if it's safe for him, if it's a good idea, frankly. We've got the bio coming in. He needs to land some great storms, forcing this bio to split. More storms are coming down, but he's focusing on the right, so the bottom left is tearing everything up. These storms are causing the army to split. It actually seems that Lilbow is taking a favorable engagement here. MythiC losing a lot of units. Lilbow still has the Tempest and Void Rays, but now he's in a very dangerous position. He's walking into the belly of the beast. MythiC can pull workers, and he's gonna do just that. He's got quite a few Vikings, which are gonna put pressure on the Tempest. And with all these Marauders now, it seems that MythiC is gonna manage to clean up this army of Lilbow. Now, there's actually such little anti-air, but that doesn't matter. MythiC is actually going to take this game here against a barcode, which is apparently Lilbow, as MythiC claims, but that was a very good, entertaining TVP, back and forth here. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. If you have any feedback, please let me know, and I shall see you next time.